Hi guys, Fred Wellman with Online with Both Votes with breaking news over the weekend about Pete Hegseth and the latest craziness at DOD. We wanted to bring it all to you. The top story is that the New York Times reported and was later confirmed by other news outlets that Pete Hegseth himself created a separate signal group from the one that was previously reported with the national security advisors and the cabinet secretaries and others. This one was created by Hegseth during his transition that included his wife, his brother, and his personal attorney, among other people. Supposedly, the group had about 13 people in it. And he shared the information that he shared to the other group about the strikes and the targets in Yemen with a group that was not made up of cabinet officials, not made up of service members, not made up of any of his personal family members, telling them the times that F-18s would be striking targets in Yemen. But it gets worse. This was on his personal phone. Yeah, we've now confirmed something we suspected all along, that Hegseth was doing this not from his classified device, not from a SCIF, but using his personal phone to send classified information. We know, that iPhones and other phones can be hacked very easily, or the wife. And the vulnerability for Signal is that the fact that if the user's phone is hacked, they can see what you're sending, even though it's encrypted. A huge problem. But wait, there's even more because he was actually warned by his own advisors that were in the group not to use this chat because the chat was unsecured and included family members. So even knowing he was warned days before the strikes not to use Signal to do these things, he did them anyways. And this story has caused a huge amount of consternation over at DOD and around. Carolyn Levitt was asked about it this morning on Fox News. She hit it early, trying to get this thing under control.
The president stands strongly behind Secretary Hegseth, who is doing a phenomenal job leading the Pentagon. And this is what happens when the entire Pentagon is working against you and working against the monumental change that you are trying to implement. Secretary Hegseth was nominated for this position because he is standing up for the war fighter, the men and women in uniform who are putting their lives on the line to protect our country and our homeland. And unfortunately, there have been people at that building who don't like the change the secretary is trying to bring, so they are leaking and they are lying to the mainstream media. We've seen this game played before. The secretary is doing a tremendous job, and the president stands strongly behind.
Whew, kind of a high pitch he's got there trying to defend this thing. The fact is, the people she's accusing of undermining him are their own people. Because this week, he purged 4 top officials, to include a guy named John Ulyat, who you see in this picture right here. Ulyat used to work at the VA and then came over to DOD to set up the Pecom shop. He's the guy that led the DEI purge within DOD. And he came out with an explosive op-ed in the Politico magazine yesterday, where he talks about all the things that have gone wrong in what he calls a month of total chaos at the Pentagon, from leaks to everything else. And while he does write kind of sucking up to Trump in the thing, he goes after Hegseth hard. He lays out all the things, starting with the Signalgate 1.0, when that came out, and how badly it was fumbled by Hegseth and his team. And you can see the crisis. They had no idea what they're doing for crisis communications. They had no idea what they were doing handling this issue. And so they fumbled that one. Then he goes on to talk about how the issues of his wife, bringing his wife to top secret briefings, what came out about a week after that, where for reasons we can't explain, he decided his wife, who's a former Fox News producer, should sit in meetings with high-level military officials from other countries and get briefings. But then on top of that, a week later, we found out they were planning on giving Elon Musk a top secret briefing on our deployments against China and our war plans against China. When that got to the New York Times the first time, apparently we found out later that Trump scuttled the whole thing. But yeah, Hegseth had planned to brief a businessman with no clearance and with business in China on our plans for China. And then, of course, this week we had the final act, the purges that began last week, where he got rid of, again, as I mentioned, Darren Selnick, Ulyat, Dan Caldwell. These are men that Hegseth has worked with for a decade or more when he was at Concerned Veterans of America. These aren't people within DOD who are causing trouble and didn't support the movement. They came in with Hegseth, and then he fired them without any process, of course, because they don't believe in due process. And they're pissed. So hard to believe where the story may have come from. But Sean Parnell, of course, came out this morning with this defense, saying, of course, it's just Trump hating media. It's all fake. It's no classified information. Look, the fact is, when you talk about the strike times of F-18s coming in to attack our enemy, that is classified, and anyone who served knows it. But then this is my favorite one. Hegseth was asked about it today at the Easter egg roll at the White House.
This is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter.
Yeah, it wasn't anonymous, and those disgruntled former employees are his friends and most loyal supporters until a week ago when he fired them all. Did you notice how his voice kind of went up there? There's nothing here. Like, I mean, totally transparent. Obviously nothing going on. I want to remind you what happened last time when Parnell and Hegseth denied Signalgate. They said it was all lies and fake news, which drove the author, Jeffrey Goldberg, to actually release the chat because they had the screenshots. There will be more to this story because they're denying the story the same way now. And I imagine the New York Times actually has the screenshots. So more to follow. We'll be keeping track of this for you here at VoteVets. I am Fred Wellman, retired Army officer, the host of Unlive VoteVets. Find out more about what we do at votevets.org. We'll see you soon.